Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the moon, square, or opposition of Venus in a natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects in a natal chart. They're a little bit concise. Some people may have referred to them as snappy. So what I decided to do was make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up is, well, if you have the moon square or opposite Venus in a natal chart, there may be some difficulty in attaining the needs, which is the moon, in love and relationships, which is Venus. Now, if Venus is in Aquarius, so it could be with people that have an Aquarius moon or ascendant, or simply embody the characteristics of the sign. It could be people that are eccentric, unorthodox, ingenious, considerate, unobtrusive, selfless, altruistic. There may even be something unorthodox about, the connection. But there may be, but at the same time, if you have the square opposite aspect, then may be more difficulty in terms of attaining that what you'd be looking for in terms of that relationship as an example. But the thing about this aspect as well, there may also be harder to fulfill that need, which is the moon, in making money. It could be, let's say if Venus is in Capricorn as an example, there may be some, as far as money-making endeavors, they may consist of, dentistry, accounting, political, government work, information technology, doing something with architecture, construction, masonry, even general mundane work as some examples. And if you have, one of these aspects in your natal chart, the moon square or opposite Venus, you may have trouble in terms of expressing the emotions, which is the moon, and the sentiments, which is Venus. Now, if Venus is in Leo, as an example, those sentiments may be, often expressed when you're able to, in a somewhat loud, boisterous, vociferous manner, very demonstratively. And if you have the moon in Taurus, the emotions may be stable, but at the same time, can be very, moon in Taurus can become really acerbic if provoked, to the point of endurance, after, protracted goading. There can be, an explosive, response. But anyway, now, if you have one of these aspects in your natal chart, there may be difficulty in nurturing and caring, which is the moon, for your relationships and your important friends, and even, the significant other or marriage partner, which is Venus. Now, if Venus is in Aries, it could be with people that have an Aries sun, moon, or ascendant, or simply embody the traits of the sign. It could be, people that are rather, aggressive, assertive, forceful, courageous, brave, outspoken, direct, even pioneering. And let's say if you have your Venus in Taurus as another example, it could be Taurus, sun, moon, or ascendant people, or ones that embody the characteristics of the sign. It could be those that are, rather stolid, impassive, stubborn, persistent, patient, persevering, economical, trustworthy, as some examples. Now, there may be trouble if you have one of these aspects. There may be trouble in terms of expressing the feelings, which is the moon, for the things you're enamored with, for what you love and enjoy, which is Venus. Now, if Venus is in Gemini, as an example, there might simply be love and enjoyment for a variety or manifold things. It could just be simply communication, or assimilating, disseminating information, things that require manual dexterity, such as auto or refrigeration mechanics, as some examples. And Now, let's say if Venus is in Virgo, those things that you may truly love and enjoy, maybe things connected with compiling data, statistics, analytics, organizing, compartmentalizing, cleaning, sanitizing, as some other examples. Now, if you have the moon square or opposition Venus in a natal chart, another way this may manifest and pan out is that you may often not be in the mood, which is the moon, in terms of feeling like doing things associated with your latent talents and abilities, which is Venus. Now, if you have Venus in Sagittarius as an example, things you may have latent talents and abilities for, maybe tied in with sports or something with the outdoors or adventure. It could be doing something with exploration, publishing, advertising, printing press operation, even I would say, as far as motivating others, through optimism, to really attain, help others attain what they want in their life, by being, that incorrigible optimist, so to speak. Now, another thing too about these aspects is that it may be harder to value, which is Venus, your home and your family, which is the moon. Now, let's say, if the moon is in Pisces, as an example, family members, one or more, may actually be, have a Pisces sun, moon, or ascendant, or embody those traits. It could be people that are altruistic, forgiving, compassionate, sacrificing, passive, emotional, sensitive. It could also indicate that the home life may be somewhat chaotic if one has their moon in Pisces. And it could be too, if you have the moon square or opposite Venus in your natal chart, another way it could manifest, it could be simply having trouble expressing artistry, which is Venus, in one's home, which is the moon. If you're somebody, say you have an affinity for, or you have some interest in it, I should say, but maybe for whatever reason there may be some difficulty in terms of expressing it there. If you have, going back to Pisces as an example, if you have Venus in Pisces, it could be an expression of, abstract or fictional or fantasy art. Venus in Aquarius may express rather unusual, innovative, or artwork that just seems unorthodox, that's unconventional. It may be things, it may be very innovative, artwork, as some examples. Now, another thing too about these aspects is that the marriage partner or significant other, which is Venus, may not, really be compatible with your unconscious side, which is the moon. Now, let's say, if the moon is in Gemini as an example, that unconscious side, may be one, that's mercurial, loquacious, contradictory, versatile, multifaceted. It could be one that's very animated, spirited, useful, as some examples. Now, also, too, if you have the moon square or opposite Venus in your natal chart, there may be issues with safety and security, which is the moon, and it may have, an adverse effect on your self-worth, your self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself, which is Venus. Now, if you have your moon in Aquarius as an example, safety and security, may be tied in, with, electronic, advanced, computerized, type of, alarm security system in your home. Let's say, if the moon is in Taurus, it might simply be just having, monetary, stability, having your possessions, your resources, and that might have an adverse effect, on your self-worth, which is Venus. And also, too, another way I'd say this aspect can be expressed is that, the person may often, not have that money, which is Venus, to spend, on home-related matters, which is the moon. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, Stay well.